I'm going to start doing stuff. Okay. I'll let you know. We're good for the time being. Okay, I'm just going to start talking to Kyle and Zuzu here. These are my friends. Kyle and Zuzu Weingart are filmmakers. They're based in Hamilton, Montana. They're the Ferroplex right now. They created the independent zom-com, that means zombie comedy film Cuisine, de l'Apocalypse, and I produced it. It is showing at the Waypoint January 17th through the 23rd. Thank you for joining us on Explore Big Sky with Hoary Marmot, guys.
Hey.
Absolutely, we're excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, recording live here at my parents' house in Alabama. They were in a horrible car accident, so we're trying to nurse them back to health here. But let's talk about they'll come in later.
Okay.
Let's talk about the movie right now. Tell me, what is this zombie comedy about?
It's a post-apocalyptic comedy about following your dreams. So, and it just so happens that our main character's dream is to have a fine dining cooking show. So it's probably the worst idea to have in the apocalypse to survive. But so that was the battle with the writing it, how can we make this make sense, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, it's,
give me the vibe. What is the feel of the movie?
It's super wacky. I mean, it was one of those things as when we were on set, we kind of made a rule, like, there's no such thing as too much with this movie, because that's what this movie is. It's too much, so
yeah, very Gilligan's Island kind of MASH.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other ones that we say?
I like to say Home Improvement because that one's based around a show. But yeah, the Gilligan's Island and the MASH was really an attempt to kind of create a world that, as hostile as it may seem to the characters in the show or movie, we want to go there. We'd love to visit that place, And so MASH was in Korea, I believe. Yeah, Korea. And yeah, nobody wants to go there, but everybody wanted to go there. Gilligan's Island, they were constantly trying to escape, but we all want to go to Gilligan's Island, and live in a world where you can make a telephone out of coconuts, or you can grill pancakes over a nuclear bomb, as we do in Cuisine de l'Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So a little bit goofy, suspend your disbelief.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then buckle up for a fun ride. And who is in it, Zuzu?
Oh, well, I am in it. That's why
you were in it.
A question like that. I play Laura. But Kevin Jack is our lead. He plays Chef John. He was awesome. He's so funny. And then we also have Kevin Sorbo, Natasha Leggero, and Amelia Rivera, who are all super talented and hilarious.
Mm-hmm. We also, I just want to say, we can't forget Nilo Butler, Douglas Hurricane Hall,
yeah,
Montanani. Yeah.
It's a tough name.
It was. But yeah, it was really cool to bring in like Sorbo and Natasha and Emilio to kind of be a part of this crazy world. And they totally just dove right in. And like Amelia showed up, can I have a sword? And we're like, yeah, dude, you can have a sword. Yeah.
It's a very Montana production.
Yeah, it totally was. Yeah, everybody on the crew was from Montana. We had a few, little bits players, people we picked up along the way that, of course, were already part of our caravan. So we did bring a few other people from out of state, but the heart and soul of it, yeah, was all Montana crew. And
it was 100% filmed here in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
How does this happen? How did this come together that we were able to shoot an independent film in Montana?
Well, it started with the film grant. That was kind of our first. Zuzu did all the groundwork for that, and I was kind of still in that phase of, should we do it this year? Should we not? And she was just like, yes. So she did all the work.
He wrote it. So that was the hard part, I think. But we did get a grant. We were very lucky to get a Big Sky film grant, and that kind of kicked us off. And then we pitched it to an investor, and he funded it, and we're very lucky.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things. Is we'd known our investor Michael Burks for a while, and he just kind of, I don't know, we were just kind of waiting for the right project to say, hey, you want to be a part of this? And yeah, we showed it to him, and he's just immediately, don't show this to anybody else. I want to be your guys' guy. And no, it's been super generous and was able to help us through it. Yeah. And yeah, it was one of those things is once we got the film grant, we were shooting within a year. But gosh, we'd been working on the concept at that point for 6 years. So it wasn't a quick thing. We'd been told no from all of our projects a million times, but this was the one we finally got a yes, so.
And you're sitting at the Ferroplex right now. The Ferroplex was also instrumental.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Ferroplex, it used to be a movie theater, and they've since turned it into a film studio. So they took out all the theaters, all the seating, and made them into sound stages. So we filmed most of the movie here in this facility. We built the whole town of New Missoula in the back lot. And then we brought some sets in to the sound stages too. So it was, we were very lucky to have this place.
Yeah, it was. Sorry.
If we hadn't had the option to bring some of those sets inside, like you just said, Zuzu, and shoot basically inside as if it were outside, I don't think we would have gotten it done, because we had some serious, intense forest fire smoke we were dealing with.
It was really bad, and everybody thought they were so clever. Oh, this is perfect for your movie because it looks like the apocalypse. It's like, yeah, but it literally is the apocalypse outside. You can't film out there.
Yeah, the air quality was really bad. It was
we can't ask crew members to work outside for 14 hours a day in that.
Yeah. And then the one day we were like trying to be brave enough to go outside. We're like, oh, the air quality's right below that line. We'll just have everybody wear masks. And that was the day Kevin Sorbo was on set. So we had asked, Sorbo to put on a mask. He's like, nah,
So let's talk about the concept, because a TV chef in a post-apocalyptic Montana wants to still do a TV show, and he ends up using his culinary skills to fight off zombies and robots. It's one of those ideas that seems so obvious. How has somebody not done this before?
Right.
Exactly. Seriously.
You did iterations of this prior to the feature.
We did, and they were all very different. Like the first one, our chef and Lando's character were essentially the last two people on Earth, and there was nobody else. And that was kind of part of it. And we're like, this is fun, but how could we make it funner? Because it's still, even in that concept, without the zombies, without the robots, at this point in that iteration, it was just a disease that killed everybody. And it was just less fun. It was a little too serious for such a ridiculous idea. And then, we made that iteration. It was pretty good. I mean, we were first time, that was the first time we'd really put anything together. We were pretty proud of it, but we definitely knew it needed more. And so we did another iteration of it where I had a script, but then a week before we went to film, I was like, oh my gosh, this needs to be like Gilligan's Island, and there needs to be everything out there. So we kind of like did a quick rewrite, put in a bunch of extra villagers, and and then put in all the extra everything from the apocalypse, from tornadoes to volcanoes to asteroids, that it had to be as ridiculous, kind of going back to there's no such thing as too much on this movie,
Yeah.
And that second iteration we made as a proof of concept to get funding to make the feature film.
What you end up with is this big wacky affair. But it's still, even though it is so sprawling, so big, it was also small. Zuzu, I know you've done a lot of work on the show Yellowstone. How was it different working on Yellowstone versus Cuisine?
Wow. Very different. Yeah, I feel like, the size of the crew, of course, is the number one when you're part of the crew. I feel like that's really the thing that stands out to me the most. I think we had 50. We had a crew of 50 on Cuisine, whereas Yellowstone has 500 plus on their crew. So we became a family very quickly, as you do on an independent film set, because you're working very long hours and everybody's stepping on each other's toes constantly. So you will you'll make each other mad and you'll get over it because that's what you have to do. And so really on a crew that size, you become a family very quickly. And I think that's what we did on Cuisine.
Definitely.
Yeah. Really blurring the lines between departments too.
Yeah. There's that one video, Joe. I don't know if you've seen it, and I could definitely give it to you. But it shows somebody just noticed real quick that everybody was working at one time. And it was on day 2 when we were supposed to shoot John's camper, and it wasn't ready. And art team was in there, and this isn't typically something do, it's like you have your G&E department in there, they clear out, then the other department goes in, so you're not stepping on each other. We didn't have that luxury. So we were just all going, and it was like a symphony, man. Like, I love that video because everybody's just working. I think I saw you just like talking to somebody working with like Logan or something who was in the art department. It's like you were the producer, but we all just kind of, knew what we were doing there, knew what the assignment was. And it was a lot of fun. Good.
Yeah. If your hands were idle, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This was a sort of micro budget, right? Independent feature film, but it still had a ton of visual effects. How did you pull that off with the amount of money we had in our budget?
Well, honestly, I'd never been through that area of VFX and making a film before. It was all so new to me. So it was really essential that our editor had a lot of experience with all that stuff, because I was starting at ground zero as far as that goes. I mean, I've edited, short films, and I've edited a feature film before, and all those things, but to get it ready for VFX, to get it ready for, each next step, that wasn't my world at all. So I really had to rely on my team. Long way of answering that. We had a VFX supervisor on set that would kind of help us. We had, all the robots are mocap. So we have a green guy out there acting like a goofball. Christian Ackerman. Yeah, he's so good. Yeah, he did such a good job.
Well, he's a mime.
He's a mime, yeah.
So he was perfect to throw in the green suit.
Yeah, he had too much fun. He even had an awesome nickname, Momo. Everybody called him, and it just stuck. It was pretty badass.
He's also a zombie.
He's a zombie. He's one of the best zombies. He actually trained all of our zombies. So on set, he would show up, and then he would do a little zombie 101 and show him all the classic moves. And I don't know him, but he knows them really good. And it was just awesome to see, and he's a really good friend of ours. So to see him like in his element and just excelling beyond, not like we didn't have high expectations, but just killing it so hard it was awesome. Again, we're all family. So it was like watching our brother like just kill it, so it was great.
Yeah. It seems like everybody got to take a turn being a zombie.
You're laying on the ground as a zombie in one of them. I know that.
I didn't have a lot of zombie moves, but it was fun to makeup on.
You're one of those rigor mortis zombies, that had already set in. You
talked about Kevin Sorbo. It was not just Kevin, also his son Braden.
Yeah, Braden.
How did they get involved in this?
Well, I mean, from the get-go, like I've been saying, it's a family affair, and there's just so much power in a family, So as we were still casting some roles, Kevin was like, hey, I have some, my boys that are, really good actors. He sent me their reels, and no, I was super impressed. And I was like, literally, this is exactly who we're looking for this other character, Gray, kind of that, smug younger guy who works out too much, and then we looked at Braden's TikTok and we're like, oh, dude, this guy's like totally working out constantly. This is the guy, Perfect, yeah. So he did do an audition, like Kevin Sorbo, he's Hercules. He was a shoo-in, we're just like, oh man, we got him. But Braden was, he's still young in his career. So, I think even Kevin was pushing him. He's like, oh, make sure he auditions. And when we were buying the plane tickets, he's like, no, Braden can fly coach, because he's, Kevin gets first class because he's been around the block, but Braden's still, doing a really good job, but he's still building his career. So
he hasn't earned it yet.
Yeah, and I think his dad, is just making sure he earns it, which is important, and it's awesome to see. So Braden came out and did an awesome job. He was a blast, really good energy on set, and we had a really good time with the Sorbos.
Yeah.
And Kyle had Kevin Sorbo in mind for the role of Officer Joe from the start.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Worked out. You got your man.
Yeah, and it's fun. I've actually written a few scripts with Kevin Sorbo in mind. Actually, like 6 years ago, I was meeting with a gentleman, and he's like, "Hey, if you ever got a script for Kevin Sorbo, I'm friends with him, and I'll get it to him." And I was like, "Oh, sweet." So I do have a couple of scripts, but I hadn't reached out yet, and I used a different connect. Our other producer, Eden, she put me in touch with Kevin Sorbo. But it was just funny to see how things just kind of work out.
Absolutely. And so that's one family, but Zuzu, that's not the only family that acted on screen. You weren't the only member of your family to be an actor.
no, that's true. Yeah, so I play Laura in the film, and I'm mom to 2 little girls who are my real children. And yeah, they
And they're
Lori
great.
and Charlie, they were awesome. They did so good. They film Chef John's cooking show in the movie. So they're his camera crew. Yeah.
Yeah. They know all the shop talk.
My parents were also in it. They, the old decrepit couple that can't move. That's my mom and dad.
Gam and Pop.
Gam and Pop. I was like, I need some really old folks. Mom, dad, and they were like, okay. And
we aged them.
We aged them.
We had to
age them a little bit.
They're
Mom,
not that old.
we aged you so much. It was crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, they didn't seem nearly that decrepit when they were shoveling food onto our plates and serving us a giant meal.
That's true.
They did
They were
that
also
for the
catering
crew.
a lot. Yeah. So
It was definitely one of those sort of uniquely Montana shoots where you got, families there, and it does feel like such a giant sort of like reunion, even though a lot of us didn't know each other prior to that production.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of highlights that stand out from the process.
one of my favorite was Lava Land, both the inside and outside of it. It was a thing where we knew we had to have this really cool cage fight and all this stuff, but we were super far behind, and art team was like, "Hey man, could we just go redecorate this bar downtown?" And I'm like, I want it to look like the rest of the movie. And they were like, okay, we'll do it for you. And they did a hell of a job. And then, so we had this Lava Land Cantina.
They built it. It was really cool.
It was so beautiful. And it was just, it was a blast. And we had Daryl Chan as our stunt coordinator, but he also played Blaze in the film. And just to see him work with Maggette, who plays Andy, to kind of get the fight scene out. They were working on it way before the scene. And then to see it all happen on screen, and yeah, they just did a killer job. It was a lot of fun.
Most people on the crew and the cast, when you ask what their favorite set was, they'll say Lava Land because it was just so much fun.
Yeah, it ended up looking very cool.
It did. I will say another highlight was having Jill Valley come out and play herself. I grew up watching Jill Valley. She's the news to me, and so when Joe McNeil, one of our other producers, was like, "Hey, should we get Jill out here?" Because he's friends with her. I was like, "Oh, please." Yes. And I'll say I think people were more nervous to meet Jill if they were from Missoula than they were to meet any of the other big stars, because they'd seen her entire life, her entire career. So that was awesome to have her out too. Yeah.
She's a pretty big deal.
She's a big deal. Yeah.
One that I remember is when we waited for Kevin to meet Natasha, we sort of keeping them apart so that his reaction would be genuine. But tell that story.
So we didn't have Natasha cast as Sweet Melissa until like 2 weeks into shooting of our 4-week shoot. So there was a lot of talk, whispers, who's going to play Sweet Melissa? Who's going to, do this? And Mr. Borden, you sent us the email, "Hey, I think we have Natasha Leggero interested." And I was like, "No way." And I kind of kept that on the down low. But then as soon as she got confirmed, I went and, Kevin, the guy playing the chef, Kevin Jack, I was like, "We got Natasha Leggero." And he's just like, "No." He's like, "I actually had a crush on her for a long time." And I was just like, "Really?" I was like, "Oh, well, this is perfect." And then the day she shows up, Kevin was just like, "Kyle, I don't want to meet her until John meets her." And he's like, "I just want that reaction to be genuine." So yeah, that beautiful moment where he like is just kind of like, that's Kevin, the actor, meeting Natasha Leggero at the same time, you know, and Kevin even does this little, like when he hugs her, and it's
It's so
all
pure.
real because he's just
So
he's
genuine.
genuinely starstruck when he met her. So, yeah, it was awesome to see him do that. Yeah.
That's great. And there were also a couple of weird coincidences I remember you telling me about.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is. On our first iteration of Cuisine that we made in 2017, there was a specific piece of the movie that we thought was a little too outlandish, where we're like, we put in that America was under a 2-week in-home quarantine for a disease, but we're like, but that would never happen. You know, of course, 2 years later, COVID happened, and we were all doing that, you know. And then when we made this one, a big part of the movie, you'll see that there's drones hovering over cities and New Missoula, the town in there, and it's controlled by AI. So fingers crossed this is as far as that one goes. But I know in the next movie, we're going to definitely write something where we win a bunch of money or something. And,
Right.
Yeah,
Just,
exactly.
well, life is boring and nothing bad happens. So that it's all your fault, basically.
Yeah.
What's
Nobody
happening?
will go see that one. Yeah.
All right. That's all the questions I have, but I do have one game
Cool.
that I want to play. And in order to do this, I'm going to bring in my parents. And this is going to take a minute. So we're going to cut to that.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Shoulders.
Hey there.
Hey there.
My
How you guys
mom,
doing?
Amanda, my dad, Lee. This is
Lee and
Kyle
Amanda, nice to
and
meet you.
Hi,
Zuzu.
Kyle and Zuzu.
Hey
Good to
there.
meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
We think Zuzu is named for Zuzu Bailey, and It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
Oh,
I was, yeah, my dad's favorite movie.
Is that right? I was
Yeah.
just a guess.
good favorite. That's good.
All right, so this game here, my parents are here. They're both temporarily infirm with broken pelvi, but they're going to be judging the dumb Marmot game, which is called Cuisine de la Choptalypse. We're going to take our long movie title and make it longer. So if the reality competitive cooking show Chopped were post-apocalyptic, right? That's what we'll play. I'm going to give the ingredients for each basket, and then we're going to take turns dreaming up a dish that we would make with those ingredients.
This is such a great game, Joe. Thank you.
It's me versus you guys, okay? And mom and dad are the judges.
Okay.
Obviously, I am sacrificing everything to be here, so they will likely choose my dish over yours.
So,
But that's the price of doing business.
Yeah.
Okay.
mhm.
All right. First basket has ingredients with a shelf life of 1 year. Okay. So we're going to start with all-purpose pancake waffle muffin mix, whatever you want to do with that.
Okay.
How about peanut butter and oatmeal? Okay. You go first.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, immediately I want to say I'm going to use the pantry quite a bit on this one.
I was going to
Okay.
say, can we also
Use
bring
the
in other
pantry.
ingredients?
You can use the pantry, but everything has to have a shelf life of 1 year,
1 year.
Ooh.
at least, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
We could do
You
that.
can't, no fresh grapes, guys.
No question. Oh, and what about our? Sorry, one more rule established. What about meat? Is there animals? Chicken?
Can it last a year?
If it's
Yeah.
like bottled.
Yeah.
or
Okay.
something.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's still alive, you chop it up and okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm thinking
go
chicken.
doing anything crazy.
Okay. I'm thinking like some sort of chicken and oatmeal waffle scenario with a peanut butter syrup.
Okay. Chicken and waffles. Okay, that's what Kyle and Zuzu are making for you. I know my parents love a Toll House cookie. I'm gonna make some peanut butter Toll House cookies. They will be perfectly underbaked. Plays right into what I know about my parents. Judges, what do we say?
Oh, I think that waffle
The
sounds
waffle
really
sounds
good.
to die for.
Okay.
Now, are you
Yeah.
That's
topping
fine.
it off with the peanut butter syrup? It's perfect. Thank you,
Interesting.
Kyle and Zuzu.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
What would Chef John do?
Maybe we'll chase it down with a cookie. That can be our dessert.
Glass of milk from
all
our
right.
dairy cow.
Basket 2. These ingredients or components, whatever you want to call them, have a shelf life of 5 years. Okay? Jumping ahead in time a little bit. Uh-oh. We got company. Got canned salmon, freeze-dried huckleberries, and dehydrated potatoes. Okay? What are you going to do with these 3 components with a shelf life of 5 years?
What was the second one?
Freeze-dried huckleberries.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so we would make a salmon cake with a huckleberry reduction.
Oh, man. Very nice. I'm going to make a salmon mousse with my can, okay? And then with the freeze-dried huckleberries, I'm going to mix those into some potato chowder and make a little bit of a sweet and salty combo that I know these guys would go nuts for. What do you think, parents?
I'm
Judges?
so sorry. I had to be dealing with some guests.
Then you're let mom.
Salmon
Okay.
cake. Salmon is one of my favorite foods.
Oh
on the
yeah, we
planet.
love salmon.
And
Yeah.
it's so good for you. I mean,
You don't want my salmon mousse?
Well, oh yes, I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
I thought it was a great idea. I thought you took that one, Joe.
All right. Fair enough. You're not the judge, Kyle.
I know. I just credit where credit's due.
All right. Basket 3, shelf life of 15 years. You got pure maple syrup. You got hardtack. That's a dense, flat cracker made from flour, water, and salt. That's a common food in the military. And pemmican, which is a mixture of tallow, dried meat, and sometimes dried berries. I don't know if you're familiar with pemmican.
I've eaten all those, actually.
Have you really?
Yeah, working in the art department on Into the Wild Frontier, we ate all that.
It does not surprise me. What is it? What was the first one? Maple syrup.
Maple
Pure
syrup,
maple syrup.
hardtack.
Hardtack and pemmican.
This is all you.
Channel
your Chef John.
I would say I would. First off, I break up that hardtack to create to kind of get the flour and stuff out of it, and then I would add some flour from my mill and recreate biscuits, right? And then I'd use the pemmican to make a country gravy, and I'd do biscuits and gravy with what was the first
Maple syrup.
Pure maple syrup.
Maple biscuits. Maple biscuits with a pemmican gravy.
That sounds gross.
Yeah.
How about an amuse-bouche, guys? Okay.
Ooh.
Shaved slivers of hardtack topped with a wafer-thin slice of pemmican, dollop of maple syrup, nitrous foam, assuming liquid nitrogen lasts 15 years. All right. Third round. What do we say, judges?
Oh, the maple syrup biscuits with the pemmican gravy. That sounds wonderful.
Yes.
Come
You
on.
have gone right to this Southern woman's heart with biscuits and syrup and biscuits. Oh, fantastic idea! Congratulations, Zuzu.
But we really liked your idea too.
I am
that was
disgusted
nice.
right now.
I feel like you could eat yours faster.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's
It's a spoonful. It's the most delightful of all courses. That single spoon.
I think the
I do like a good
shaved
amuse-bouche.
pemmican, though, is a good idea. I think that makes it most digestible.
All
probably
right.
true.
That's fine. You're just being nice now because you guys clean the floor with me. That was Cuisine de la Choptalypse. Thank you, guys, for playing that with me. Thank you to our judges who seem biased in the weird direction.
Thank you.
And I hope that everybody in the Big Sky area comes to see Cuisine de l'Apocalypse at the Waypoint January 17th through the 23rd.
Yay.
Yeah, it's the biggest little movie that has ever been made, I feel like.
The indiest indie that's ever.
Indiest indie.
All right.
It really is.
Zuzu,
Well,
very
appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for having us on, man.
Good to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Take
nice
care.
to meet you, Lee and Amanda. Nice to meet you guys.
Take care. Hope
I
to
said
meet
that
you
right, right?
one of these days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.